Hey guys, welcome to a recap of The Real Housewives of New York, episode 12, Well Healed. And I feel like this episode should be called Jessel Gets Her Groove Back, but is quickly disrupted by Sais' whole attitude, whole vibe. But guys, we'll get into that a little bit later. But first, let's get into this episode and a little bit of recap of what went down. So we open up the episode with Brin and Jenna going out to the gay lesbian bar for drinks, and Brin is on a mission to help Jenna get her groove back. Now, this is a little bit of fun occasion situation going on because Jenna is a bit shy and reserved, and we know Brin is very bubbly, very open, and very free. So she's the perfect wingman to help Jenna get her groove back and get back into the dating scene. Now, are they successful? Of course, with Brin, she closes the deal for Jenna and help her land a phone number in which we hopefully will get to see in the future Jenna go on a date. So that is a win for Jenna, assisted by Brin, but Jenna is the one to have to carry out this whole relationship. So hopefully it ends out well and good things come from this situation. Now, we do get to see Bren flirt a lot with men and women, so it can be perceived by the audience that she's playing on that side where she's queer baiting. So I wanted to see how this plays out. She says that she's open to love from anybody, and I believe that because she's such a free spirit, and of course we know her history, her family history, in which she's looking for love. She's looking to receive love, find a family, So I don't think she is queer baiting, but that's up for the viewers to really assess what she's doing and how they receive her behavior during the show. Now, we do get to see a different side of Brin, and I love that we see that dynamic side. We see her, into books. She's out shopping, which we never have seen before on the Real Housewives franchise period. We see her going book shopping, and these books are not cheap. One of the books was for $17,500, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a serious hobby. And so we get to see Bren looking for books to add to her collection, and we learn that this is something that she's been fascinated for quite some time. She's very much an avid reader, and she is actually looking for someone who's not only wealthy but also into reading books and has a library card and wants to add to maybe her book collection as well. So we get to see this side of Brin, which I love to see because she's very fun and very playful, but very sentimental and reminiscent of her family. So we get to see her FaceTime her brother, and they talk about, doing a special remembrance for her grandmother who passed away a year ago. So I think we will see that soon on this show. But I'm glad we get to see both sides of Brin. Fun, but also we get to see deep side of her. Now, I do love that we get to see how Brin is a good friend to everyone in this girl group. Brin was also responsible for helping not only Jenna, but also Jessel as well. She is coaching Jessel. She is helping Jessel get all the equipment she needs to have a special date night with her husband to break the spell. Because, Jessel, she just gave birth to twins, so she hasn't been intimate with her husband for quite some time. So Brin has been the support that Jessel needed to get her to, excited and ready for this date night. Now, her husband, Jessel's husband, took responsibility to make sure everything is, set away and planned. The nanny's watching over the twins. All Jessel has to do is show up. And I'm glad that, out of all the girls, Brin was the most supportive to help Jessel get her groove back. And I'm happy that, she's motivating her in a positive way as opposed to Erins and Sais, who has been nothing but mean girls to her, I would say. They have been actually poking fun of the whole situation as opposed to being supportive to their girlfriend. Now, we do get a filler scene. I always call it a filler scene because not much happened and nothing new was developed. The girls all met up except for Brin because she's sick. Girl is sick again. So the girls met up for a special meditation, but I felt like we've seen that, done that with the Housewife franchise. So to me it was not really much of a new experience to witness as a viewer. But we did get to see Uba again gets emotional about her mother, but I wish we developed a little bit more with Uba. I feel like we're getting scenes with Uba, but she's not developed in sense of what we know about her compared to the other ladies. So I would love to see Uba open up a bit more with her story. I feel like that is what missing, because I do love her fun side, but we don't really know much about Uba and her other side, a much more personal, much more deeper side. But what we do get is that, from this scene, Jessel, she invites Sais to have a sit down with her. And, Sais is not excited. She's like, why? What is the reason? What we need to do a sit down for? Is she in trouble? So she is not excited for this sit down, but I am. Okay, I am, and we'll get to why. But before we do, I do have to mention there is an interesting scene with Sais having date night with her husband. I love Sais and her husband together. I like when they film together because I feel like Sais' husband make her a little bit more interesting. But we also have a double date with Erin and her husband. And I'm a bit nervous because when these two get together, I feel like they trash talk the ladies. And that's exactly what we got in this double date. So in this double date, Sais and Erin were poking fun again at Jessel and how Jessel and her husband had not been intimate for a long time. So the girls are asking their husband, what would you do in that scenario? What would you do? And it turns out, they're trying to get the narrative out that Jessel's husband is possibly cheating on her or could be having interest somewhere else because they're not intimate. So I don't like this play on this narrative to make a storyline for the show, and I feel like that's what they're trying to do to make the show interesting. And I don't want to go there for Jessel because I love Jessel. Jessel was a slow burn for me. I like her as a character who's giving us different layers, okay? Interesting different layers. Now what we do get, we are revealed that Erin and her husband are actually open to having an open marriage, and that caught me completely out of right field. And Sais was very curious and very interested and asked the follow-up questions that we needed to know. Okay, so it seems like there's a dispute on how they would want to open their marriage. Erin's husband is open to having intimacy with two women, and Erin, she counters, she says, no, well, maybe we can have a guy and a girl or two guys, and it's like a whole situation where they're not in agreement, but they're trying to sound like they're fine. And I don't know if it's genuine or not, but it's interesting that it's like a moment that I don't think they plan to out on this platform, because they have been quite reserved to what information they want to have out on this show. So I thought that was an interesting scene and a good catch by Sais, who gave us who followed up with the details that we want to know about this situation. And I'm pretty sure Andy Cohen is gonna follow up on that even more. Okay, so guys, what I was waiting the most for in this whole episode is a sit down between Jessel and Erin, because the last time we had a sit down with Jessel gave us an iconic moment where she called Tribeca up and coming. So I want to know, what is Jessel gonna say in this meetup with Sais? Now, when Sais came for this meetup, she was there first, and she was waiting quite a bit. She was waiting for over 40 minutes, which I think is quite rude of Jessel. And I understood how Sais felt in that moment, because she's a busy woman too. She has a schedule. It's quite rude to not even give proper notice to say that, okay, you're running late, to adjust schedule or meet up at a different time, especially when it's during the weekday, and you're not considering the other person's schedule. So already Jessel is not on a good starting position. Okay, so Jessel, she shows up 41 minutes late. Sais hungry, and she already ordered her food and drink, and so she's a little bit annoyed. Jessel, knowing that she's not on the right foot, is trying to be apologetic towards Sais, and she's trying to make up, and she wants to have this conversation with Sais because she felt like their friendship is not in the best possible position. So Jessel, she addresses with Sais how when she was opening up in the girls trip about her past history, that she wasn't trying to, you know, make her story a sob story or to one up Sais' story and her struggles that she was going through in her life. She just wanted to open up to let the girls know what she has, you know, experienced during her lifetime. And I think that's very correct thing for Jessel to say, because it did seem like she was trying to make her situation sound like, oh, that she was worse off, but look where she is now, to kind of compared to what Sai and what Brin have mentioned about their childhood and their upbringings. So I'm glad she clarified that she was not trying to one up. She was just wanting the ladies to understand and get to know her story. Now, it did not help that in the same breath, she then compares and say that she has a similar story to Sai, comparing Sai's mother alcoholism to her uncle's alcoholism. I thought this was like not the best timing, but Sai could have been a better friend. Sai could have been a better friend in the sense that you listen to your friend, you hear her out, say what she has to say, and not dismiss her. Because I felt like even though Sai was rightfully so annoyed because Jessel was late, I don't think that she should have just, you know, treated Jessel so dismissively about talking about her uncle's alcoholism. I think that she still could have been a friend, at least a supportive friend, to at least hear her out and hear what she has to say, because, you know, she chose to stay to have this lunch. She could have, you know, after the allotted time that she set for this occasion to happen, and if it was only like 10 minutes left, I think she should have, you know, have the meeting, have what it needed to be discussed in that 10 minutes, and say that, you know, I have other plans that I have committed to, and I operate on a schedule, I have to go. Rather than her to, you know, agree to continue to have lunch and just be dismissive and rude. I think that, you know, Sai could have established her boundaries way better than how she handled it on this episode. So I was a little bit let down by Sai. And of course, I felt for Jessel, because when she started to get emotional, I know she was trying to be open and real to share with these ladies, you know, what she's been experiencing. And she even, you know, shared a positive update to let, you know, Sai know how her date went with her husband. And at that moment, you would think your friend would be happy for you, but, you know, Sai was like over it. She was checked out, and it was so sad because you could tell that Jessel wanted support from her friends. That, look, I accomplished something. Look, we're on a positive note. But no. Sai, instead to be, you know, herself, and I think I'm getting a little bit annoyed with her in this cast, because she's a Debbie Downer. I think she's a Debbie Downer, okay? So ultimately, the show ends, but we get to see a preview of the next episode. And of course, Sai is reporting to Erin, pretty much trying to steer the pot, because I feel like Sai knows to say these things to Erin, and Erin will be the one to actually confront and say something to Jessel or throw it at Jessel. So we'll see how this goes, but it's not looking good. I feel like Sai, you're getting the mean girl edit. You're a mean girl with Erin, and it's not looking good. And, you know, we are liking Jessel. Jessel was a slow burn for us, and we are liking her. And I don't like how, you know, they trying to kind of rain on her parade. I feel like Jessel, she's trying, okay? She's not perfect, but she is trying. It is not an excuse to be mean. So, guys, I want to know what you guys think. You know, if you made it this far to this recap, you should subscribe, like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate every one of you for taking the time to listen to this recap and this reaction. As always, share as much kindness as possible. Bye, guys.